This graph shows crimes committed by the terrorist group Al-Shabaab between 2017 and 2018. Notice how hundreds of people, nearly half of whom were civilians, were killed. You can hover over different parts to see what each of them represent. Foreign powers like the UN and neighboring countries have entered Somalia and driven Al-Shabaab out of major cities. Yet Al-Shabaab continues to have support from and control a large portion of the country. So, how do Somalians really feel about foreign intervention in their country, especially in comparison to other groups vying for power? The answer is complicated and often unclear, muddled by years of civil war, various groups coming and going from power, and differences in culture.
In 1992, the entire country fell into anarchy and destruction when dictator Siad Barre was overthrown. The government was toppled and replaced by the United Somali Congress, a major rebel group. However, after their victory, numerous other factions sprung up and fought for more influence in the power vacuum that remained after the government was ousted. You can explore more of these factions in depth by clicking on the various icons. In order to answer this question, we first need to understand what options Somalians have right now. Today, a coalition government supported by the African Union Mission to Somalia, or AMISOM, controls many major parts of the country. The other major power in Somalia, with an overwhelming control of the countryside, is the Al-Shabaab group.
AMISOM and the current official government of Somalia, as well as a variety of foreign aid groups, have made good progress towards restoring stability. According to the Foreign Policy Research Institute, quote, Al-Shabaab eschews non-Quranic education and Western medicine, which the overwhelming majority of Somalis want. Somali government's success in improving public access to quality education and healthcare would not only reduce poverty levels, but it would also improve the population's respect for the government and undermine Al-Shabaab's standing, end quote.
The Al-Shabaab are a militant group linked to Al-Qaeda, whose goal is to establish an Islamic state in Somalia. They're funded by kidnappings, terrorist acts, extortion of local businesses, and more. To the U.S., Al-Shabaab are viewed as the bad guys in Somalia.
The UN has been fighting their presence for years. Mogadishu citizens expressed concern when the U.S. withdrew troops from the country last year. A hotel in Mogadishu was attacked, killing 15 people in August of 2021 because the owner refused to pay Al-Shabaab. The owner told BBC News that we still need the Americans, particularly for security. Since its inception, Al-Shabaab members have killed thousands in suicide bombings, shootings, and executions. They attack military, political, and civilian targets indiscriminately, both within Somalia itself and abroad in its neighboring countries. In 2013, Al-Shabaab gunmen entered a mall in Kenya, killing 67 people in a fight that lasted hours. Then in 2017, Mogadishu was attacked by 2 truck bombings widely believed to be from Al-Shabaab that killed over 500 and wounded over 300. You can hover over different parts of the timeline to see more details about Al-Shabaab attacks. In Al-Shabaab controlling regions, they implement an extremely strict and harsh version of Sharia law, banning smoking, shaving beards, and various forms of entertainment, including movies. Punishments for breaking their laws include stoning people to death or amputating limbs. Now, their control is not just a random small bit of land. Despite losing many of the major cities in Somalia, they continue to have a strong presence in the countryside that AMISOM forces have not been able to clear.
The highlighted areas are controlled by Al-Shabaab. You can explore more of the map by hovering over different parts of it. Despite all of their crimes, Al-Shabaab is well organized and performs the same core government functions for people that the official government can't reach. According to terrorism scholar Trisha Bacon, quote, Al-Shabaab is thriving because it still offers a comparatively attractive alternative to the Somali government. It capitalizes on grievances, keeps areas secure, and settles disputes with relatively little corruption. That's especially attractive in undeveloped or remote areas that the fledgling government has neglected, end quote. According to War on the Rocks, quote, over the past 5 years, Al-Shabaab has formally accepted Somali's political borders and begun dispensing public services to win Somali hearts and minds. The group has also signaled its willingness to engage in debates with Somali religious figures. What's more, it appears that both Al-Shabaab and Somali authorities have already begun using senior clan elders to mediate truces and humanitarian aid delivery." End quote. Compared to the official government, Al-Shabaab seems to be less corrupt as well. In an interview with the New York Times, one Somalian commented that, quote, "It's sad, but no one goes to the government to get justice. Even government judges will secretly advise you to go to the Al-Shabaab." End quote. This means that Somalians who seek help from the government largely find themselves in Al-Shabaab's company because of their ability to reliably pass and enforce judgment. We've taken a look at a lot of problems for both Al-Shabaab and the official government, and we can use that to weigh benefits and harms on both sides for Somalian citizens. However, we couldn't find any public opinion polls to back up how Somalians themselves weighed the issue. Luckily, Abdi Iftin's memoir, Call Me American, gives anecdotal evidence of how people viewed America when he lived in Mogadishu, the capital of Somalia. On one occasion, he recounts that, quote, "The US attack on the houses that killed so many civilians was surely part of the cause. People filled the streets, rooting for their home team. I too fell in with the crowd. I yelled out to the militias to let them know which side the helicopter was coming from. I threw rocks at helicopters. I ran with the crowd, repeating the cheers, 'Up with Aidid, down with America,'" end quote. Later in the book, as he sits in a public square, he hears men had been cursing the United States. They were organizing protests against the war America started, and against the president. "This is a war between Muslims and non-Muslims," said an elder, throwing one hand in the air as if he wanted to fight the war himself, while holding a cup of tea in his other hand. The crowd nodded and all said, "Yes," end quote. Both of these examples show anti-American sentiment among common Somalian citizens. Of course, this doesn't reflect the opinions of all Somalians. Abdi himself ended up emigrating to America. However, it does reveal that America and the UN-backed government aren't extremely popular there either. At the end of the day, Somalis do want and do benefit from foreign aid coming to their country and supporting their government. However, the current approach being taken by AMISOM and the Somali government still has major issues, notably rampant corruption, and does not adequately address all of Somalia's needs. And Al-Shabaab often offers what the government lacks, especially in areas where the government has overlooked or can't reach. So for a very significant portion of the Somali population, Al-Shabaab is their best or only option for some semblance of organization and stability, and foreign powers are looked upon with scorn. Of course, the topic is very complex, and we hope to have at least scratched the surface. You can take a look at some of the articles and other information that we found while researching this question. Our answer is not final or definitive. It's what we came to after some hours of research. However, it is very possible that we missed something or messed up in our analysis somewhere, so we encourage you to do some more digging yourself if you want to understand more about the ongoing conflicts in Somalia.